Guten Morgen, Klasse. Welcome to the next unit. Next unit is going to be about Die Familie. Die Familie is simply the family, pretty simple. And what you're going to notice is a lot of these words are cognates, and they'll be fairly easy to memorize and to learn very quickly. Okay, so this right here is going to show a couple of things. First of all, the vocabulary that we need to kind of describe our part of the family. So we have a couple words here. We have Vater, which looks like father. Mutter, which looks like mother, sounds like mother. Bruder, again, brother. I put Bruder here. That's okay. Schwester is a sister. Groß. Now, groß is a tricky one. Groß can mean big, but it can also mean great. It can also mean massive. So, groß has a couple of different meanings. So, we might also use it for my big sister, my big brother, might be used as that. Okay, so klein is the opposite. Klein is small. Then we have net. Now, net's a tricky one to remember, but it means nice. Net. How can you remember that? It's always nice when your net is full of fish. Something like that. All right, dann haben wir gemein. This one's a nice one to say. If you want to tell somebody, du bist so gemein, means you are so mean. Du bist gemein. Du bist gemein. Herr Dev, du bist gemein. Oh boy. Okay, so one thing I want to say is that when we're using these adjectives down here, like groß, klein, nett, gemein, sometimes they get some special endings, just kind of change a little bit. And we'll go over this very simply, not very difficult. Like we have meine kleine Schwester, or we have mein kleiner Bruder. Now, this exists due to gender. So depending on the gender of the person you're talking to or talking about, will kind of dictate this. Just know that if you see klein, kleine, or kleiner, it means small, or little, or younger. The same thing happens with other words like groß, like meine große Schwester, my older sister. Then we have mein großer Bruder, okay, my big brother. So I might say, mein großer Bruder heißt James. Meine große Schwester heißt Allison. Okay, ausgezeichnet. Okay, now for this next one, we're going to be going over some of the names of the people. Now this has all of the different names and whatnot. They're all here. Now, one thing is dealing with people. They are going to receive the grammatical gender of der, die, or das, based on their traditional gender. Now, keep in mind that nowadays, at least within Germany, there is some allowance for different types of gendered languages. Because German, much like any other language, most other languages except English, is gendered, which means that even nouns have genders. So they are expressed grammatically. Now, this grammatical expression isn't always for everybody, but it is the way we have it. So let's look at it. The picture we have here. Also, das bin ich. Now, that's obviously not me. It's the girl in the picture. And so we're going to use her as a point of reference. So if she were to say my little brother, what would she say? Good. Mein kleiner Bruder. If she were to say my older brother, what would she say? Correct. Mein großer Bruder. Now, if she were to say my big sister, how would that be? Meine große Schwester. And what would be the word? What would be the translation for meine kleine Schwester? Very good. Okay, now let's look at the parents. Now the parents, there's a Mutter and a Vater. And these are called Eltern. So Eltern is the word for parents. Notice here it says meine Mutter and mein Vater. It follows the same rules as down below with mein großer Bruder and meine große Schwester. Okay, so look up at the top. Meine Oma. Oma is how you say grandmother. Mein Opa is how you say grandfather. Now, there are a couple of variations on grandfather and grandmother. And the word is called, you could either say Großeltern, or you could say, no, Großeltern. Let's stick with Großeltern. So you have Eltern here, and now you're using Groß up here as great or grandparents, right? All right. So you can kind of figure out what mein Onkel is, meine Tante, based on the placement in the picture and the fact that they're very, very similar. Those are the words for them. Then we have mein Cousin. This word drives me crazy because it's spelled like cousin, but it's pronounced cousin. No clue why. The cool thing is it's spelled like cousin. So it's just easier. And if you look at the girl over here on the other side, cousina, not cosana, cousina. So if you look at cousina, you just add the E at the end of cousin and you get a cousina. Okay, excellent. All right, so guys, we're going to be using the word haben. We're going to practice this a little bit, and then I want you to do a little bit yourself as well. So when we use these conjugations is what they're called. I won't fuss with the boring stuff. Just know that with haben, you have an ending, but you also have a stem. Now, it's kind of like if you have a screwdriver and you have a Phillips head or a flathead on it. They can be switched around. The screwdriver still stays the same in order to work, but the heads can change. Or if you have a good set of socket wrenches, they can change. There's lots of them, right? So if you say ich habe, it means I have. Du hast, you have. Er hat, he has. Now, one thing is that er is used for anytime you have one person and it's male. It can also be one item and is grammatically gendered as male. You also have sie, which is she. Anytime you have one person who is female, that person will also be referred to in the same thing. So er hat and sie hat. Okay? So anytime you have a group of people and you're including yourself in that group, like for example, if I were talking about our class, I would say wir haben eine Aufgabe. We have an assignment. Then I'm including myself. Wir means you're including yourself and everybody. Ihr is the equivalent of y'all. Now, with y'all, that is kind of friendly and familiar. You would not go to an elderly home of, I don't know, veterans or government officials and be like, hey, y'all, can you get and move your cars? I need to move. You would not say that. You say, excuse me, could you please move your cars? So ihr is used for a familiar type of setting, maybe to a group of friends, or maybe to a group of people that are younger than you. The last one is sie haben. Now, this particular one is they, okay, is sie. Now the trick is understanding that this is they, but there's another word, sie, as we mentioned earlier, that is also she. So it's kind of tricky to keep them track. The main thing that I look at is the ending. There's a T at that one, and there's an E at that, EN at that one. So kind of complicated. It takes practice. So we're going to go ahead and practice it a little bit today. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with how do we use it? Well, I'll tell you. you just start with this. Nummer eins. Ich blank einen Bruder. Habe. I don't know why that's erasing, but so ich habe einen Bruder. Now, I was able to tell that because it said ich. And usually each ich verbs, or ich, when followed by a verb, that verb gets an e at the ending. Hans is one person. So you would say Hans hat eine Schwester, right? Same thing happens with Susie. Susie hat einen Vater. Nummer 4. Wir haben einen Onkel. Very important. Mein Cousin hat, remember, mein Cousin, my male cousin, just one person, hat eine Tante. All right, so I'm going to erase those and have you do those yourself. Okay, now we're going to go over a couple of these new words. Now, when you're describing people in your family, you really want to be able to focus on ways to describe them. And the reason is because it just makes things a little bit more interesting. You can say you have a brother or sister, but isn't it more fun to say, oh, they're so annoying? So we're going to go over that. All right, the first words here, we have gut. That one you might know. It means good. This one looks like Bose. It's not Bose. It's böse. Böse. Yeah? It's hard to say that O umlaut at first, but you get used to it, and it becomes böse. Then we have, oh, sorry, böse means mean. Mean. Okay. Also evil. Evil. Nett means nice. Mein Bruder ist sehr nett. Okay. Aber meine Schwester ist sehr gemein. So gemein is mean. That mein at the end is kind of like mean, right? So sie ist gemein. Meine Frau ist schön. Okay, what could that be? My wife is schön, beautiful. All right, hässlich. Hässlich is ugly. Oof, that's a mean one. Don't have wir? Groß is either great or big or old. Any of those. In other words, it's just like this. Bigger. Dann haben wir klein. Is the opposite. Young or small. Then we have schlank. Schlank is slender. Voll schlank is, back in my days, they used to say a special word, husky. You might also say sturdy. It's kind of a nice way to say, not skinny, but sturdy, you're a little thick, but it's not like a bad thing. It's just, there. All right, next. All right, so on this one, I'm going to go through a short story and have you go through with me. It says, Hallo, guten Tag. Okay, they're greeting us. Oh, that's so nice. Ich heiße Maria. Ich habe blonde Haare. So I have, what kind of hair? Blonde hair. You got it. Ich habe zwei Schwestern und zwei Brüder. So here's eine Schwester, Schwester, Bruder, Bruder. Two of each, right? That word zwei is in there. Wir sind eine große Familie. Now, are they an old family, a great family, or a large family? They're a large family. Mein Vater heißt Paul. So here's Paul. Paul. Und meine Mutter heißt Pascha. Sie ist nett und hübsch.